It's the BlackSwarm podcast, baby. We're raw.
And welcome to the Week 5 edition of the BlackSwarm podcast. Tank Pipe here with Rob Antonell. Big week coming up, big game against St. Ed's. But as always, let's get into it. Quick recap of the Warren game. Kick it to you. I know you said you didn't have much, but some thoughts on the game last Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't have too much to talk about with Warren game. But, I mean, you came away with a win against the team you were supposed to beat. Mad we didn't cover. Again, I'm always going to be mad if we don't cover. But, you know, just another week, putting some experience behind you, getting ready for a bigger matchup this week.
Yeah, I think it was a little different for, well, at least both of us. You know, you never went into the game, just stayed up at the spot. Seemed like a prime game to do that. I went down for that military appreciation stuff and ended up staying on the sideline the whole game. The jerseys look pretty slick up close. They, like, looking at film and, you know, I can only imagine from afar they didn't look too hot. But
see, I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was, I mean, I didn't have any issue with it, looking at, like, the pictures and everything. But it was one of those things I just kind of assumed looked better from a distance than up close. But looking at the pictures of them, I thought they looked fine.
Okay. I mean, they look pretty sharp, you know. On loan from the National Guard. Apparently that's like a program they do. They go to a different school every week, and whoever wants to do their military appreciation stuff, then they get those jerseys that week. But yeah, overall, I thought it looked pretty slick. I thought it was a pretty cool thing overall. Kind of hard to watch like exactly what's going on during the game from the sidelines.
Yeah, it is.
But you do get to see some stuff. Like, it's a whole different environment, and that's something, you know, I somehow ended up on the sideline, or the last time I ended up on the sideline, we put up 101 points against a team from Pennsylvania. So, been a hot minute since I was down there. We got some push up front, man. Like, we were dominating the line of scrimmage all night, as far as I could tell. A lot of hitting. And our student section chirps good. Just yelling at kids. I mean, God forbid the ball ever came close to the student section. Whatever poor receiver was like closest lined up there, they were getting an earful. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be. I mean, student sections are meant to be, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but like in general, a fan base, a strong fan base, a student section, it's meant to be heard. They're meant to be noticed. It's meant to be something to disturb the other team. So that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it's supposed to be known. I think overall the rest of the game, our passing attack looked clean. For the most part, we kept Slaughter pretty well protected. Running game was strong. Terrell had another quiet 100-yard game. He's had 100 rushing yards every game this season so far. Banks finally had his coming out party. It was everything we had expected Banks to be all year. But he still, you know, showed up a little bit as we know him with that one drop on the fake screen ago. Other than that, I mean, he had like 130-some receiving yards, a couple touchdowns, looked phenomenal, lights out. Slaughter was on point all night. Defense came out hitting. You know, we gave up one big play, just the 85-yard QB draw just because Jet's a dude, like we talked about last week. You take away that one run and like account for the sack yardage, we held them to 51 yards on 26 attempts for a cool 2 yards per carry. Their offense seemed pretty like side to side. It seemed like the whole idea was to try and get guys the ball in space and make a play.
Yeah. Which,
for lesser competition, you know, that it works.
Yeah.
That it's a team full of athletes like we talked about, and unfortunately for them, we also have athletes. Didn't give them much space to move. Jet made a couple plays. Other than that, we just shut him down and did what we wanted on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, it kind of makes sense going into the game of what you almost would expect to happen. You know, Warren's Warren. They're going to hit you for a big play. They try to get their athletes in space. It's all stuff that we know. The big takeaway this year is that Warren wasn't able to succeed with like the passing attack that they did last year on us. So, I mean, that's huge. Besides that, Warren is pretty much who they always are. Play sound defense, and you can hold them. They weren't huge on the defensive line, so we should have been able to push the line on them pretty well. Their offensive line was big, but not the greatest line we've seen all year. A lot of their players went both ways also, I think. So, I mean, it all kind of added up to what you wanted to see, except for Massillon didn't cover.
But we still walked out with the W.
Absolutely.
And for most people, that's all that matters. So, for the rest of you degenerates out there, could have took Warren in the points.
Don't even have money on it. It's just kind of like the concept of if you're supposed to beat a team by X amount and you beat them by less than that. I mean, whatever. A win's a win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We only punted once.
I don't know. I like covering.
We only punted once. What do you want from us?
More points.
Yeah. Sorry we didn't hit the hurry up on Warren. Just
bigger spread.
Bury him. Our offense is still finding their footing a little bit. I think we caught our stride this week. Should be good to go. We could talk about the pass to the tight end down the seam.
Mm-hmm.
That was... So, being down on the sideline before the game, I ran into, a few of the coaches. One of them was Trox. And I got to bullshit with him for a little bit. Brought up, like, hey, we talked about this. We've been talking about this of what do you think about getting some early, quick, easy passes for the QB, get him in rhythm a little bit. And he's like, yeah, he agreed. There's something to it. In fact, he said, like, my first call tonight is going to be smash. Come out, throw that quick hitch, get him in a rhythm, get him going. And then he said, oh, we got this one shot play coming up. I think it's going to be my first one I call. Look for the tight end right down the pipe. Right when we get into this area of the field, look for it. And by God, right about where he said we were going to do it from, we got there. You got that little fake jet sweep, send the outside guys on verts, clear out the corners, and safety trying to double cover Banks. Tight end is pretty much untouched in the middle of the field, and it just went downhill for Warren from there.
Yeah, it's a great play. We'll get into it later, but it's something that some random fans have been asking for. Yeah. Maybe not that specific play, but throwing to the tight end. We've addressed that, but so it's nice to get him involved. It shows another threat for other teams of what they have to cover. It just gives them something else that they have to prepare for. So anytime you can have something that benefits your offense as well as makes another team have to prepare for it, it's not just a good play for us because it works. We have the people to do it, etc. But it's another wrinkle that teams have to look for. So all in all, it's nice when you can have those types of things. Because, you can add in some crazy stuff that doesn't work, hoping a defense prepares for it. But, that's probably just lost time on your part. But when you have plays that work, you have personnel that work, you're making your offense better, and you're adding different things while you do it. It's kind of double dipping into the positive there. So one more thing that Eds has to pay attention to this week. Yeah,
and I think kind of branching off that point a little bit, you talking about plays that don't work. I kind of catch myself doing that sometimes too. I'm just getting like, oh, I got this idea in my head that's like really cool. We're going to fake the jet this way, play action this way, to boot back out the other way. We're going to throw a throwback screen to the fullback.
Like Cleveland's offense.
Yeah. And then it's like you take a step back and you have Banks, Lennox, Trell, the other receivers whose names escape me, but they're still dudes.
Yeah.
Week 8, I'll know most of the roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's week 5, so give me a break.
Real McDaniels vibe over there. Just no reason to learn anyone's names. You're just there to... you're there for the plays.
The difference is I'm a fan. McDaniels was our OC.
The point remains. He was not there to learn our names. He was there to teach us football.
Yeah. But it's like take a step back and we got all these dudes and you just drew up a play specifically to get the ball in the hands of the fullback who might be like the 35th best athlete on the roster. You know, you got to like, when you're calling for plays to the tight end or like, why don't we do this or do that? The point of a play is to get the ball into your playmaker's hands. You know, you don't need all this fancy dancy bullshit so long as what you do works and it gets your playmakers the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really anything more to it than that. You don't need to outsmart yourselves. You have talent, use it. Where you don't have talent, or you're playing a really tough opponent, so the talents are kind of neutralized. Mm-hmm. That's when you get into a little bit more of your systematic stuff, coverage beating type of stuff, when you can't just one-on-one beat a guy, beat a coverage, beat a defensive lineman. You know, that's when you have to start implementing, you know, plays and systems, and there's the balance there.
Yeah,
of course, of doing both. But when you start adding stuff just for the wrinkle, or just because it sounds cool, or you think you might catch somebody off guard, is the value worth the cost? You know, is it a net positive for you, your team, your practice time? And that's where a lot of people find themselves in. You don't want to waste time on stuff that might not matter, or it might only be one play. You know, if it's going to be one play, it better be one really good, like, trick play that's going to work, you know. You can't just waste time for one play. So, balancing act, for sure, of having cool things you want to do, or even concepts that might work really good against the team you're about to face, but how much time do you have to implement it? Is it worth the cost? And that's something everybody has to weigh the pros and cons of.
And that's a big thing right there. I don't think a lot of people understand either, is the time. You know, you want to run a play on Friday. Like, say you want to install a new play and run it on Friday. Well, Saturday is just, you know, film review, get a lift in, recovery day. Sunday, for us at least, was like a walkthrough, kind of just, here's the plan we want to implement.
We had Sundays off.
We might have had one or two Sundays in. I can't remember. But, okay, you're going to have an off day in there somewhere. So then Monday is like, okay, here's our plan. Now let's go. This is going to be an offensive dominant practice.
Yeah.
You might get a couple more reps in for that play that day. Then Tuesday, add on to it, touch up on stuff. Defensive dominated practice, because you need to get both sides. Wednesday will be kind of evened out, I guess. Brush up on stuff. If something's not working, you just scrap it. You better not even run it Wednesday. Thursday is your shells, just helmet and shoulder pads, kind of somewhere between a walkthrough and a scrimmage-ish idea. And then Friday's game day. And you only have, a couple hours each night after school? And you still have to practice the rest of your stuff that you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Point being, you don't really have that much time to install a new thing every single week.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I'll say is that they have more time now than they used to.
Yeah.
If you compare what it looks like now with what we had, or at least what I had, I don't know what you guys did your senior year, but my entire high school, all the way through, was... So during the season, Sundays were off. Monday was install, where it was pretty much just a walkthrough. Install. Tuesday was, let's just say, offense. Wednesday was defense. Could have been flip-flopped. Tuesday's offense. Wednesday's defense. Thursday is walkthrough. Game on Friday.
Yeah.
Now, they have a little bit more time. They probably have it planned out a little bit better as well, but they're able to use Huddle and online sources to where they can do some of the install or some of the coaching, the mental reps at home more than we did. Mm-hmm. We didn't really get coached up on film much. Maybe a few comments on like the last game, but I don't think we were really watching practice film online very much. And they definitely weren't like showing us concepts or plays like, hey, on Sunday night I can't go on and look at something we might be installing the next day. Yeah. So the first time we heard about it was in practice in our pads on Monday. Mm-hmm. So they have a little bit more time, but still, when it comes to actually adding new things to a group of high schoolers that just went through a 8-hour day of school and have homework afterwards and the attention span of a 16-year-old, you can't always just add in a bunch of stuff at once, that's for sure.
Yeah, and even with that, you tell a kid, all right, hey, watch 2 hours of film this weekend. Here's what we want to do. It's all on Huddle. It's all on your phone. How much do you trust them to really do that?
Yeah.
You're going to have some kids that are like just on the phone 24/7 actually watching their film, and other kids that are going to press play on the film so it shows that they're watching it, set the phone down, and go play Call of Duty for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So even with that advancement of having, all the film and everything available in your pocket, you still have to teach it. You still have to take that time and teach it in person, because as a coach, you can't count on that 16-year-old to do their homework at the end of the day. But that's all I got on that. It's really all I got on Warren.
Yeah.
I guess we can just get into some film right now and then get after the rest of it, huh?
All right, cool.
All right. Into a little film room action. As always, this is a lot easier as a visual medium. Find us on our YouTubes, the BlackSwarm podcast, but we'll try and keep it as listenable as possible for the audio-only audience. Get into a little Warren highlights here. Starting off with...
This is Tolls.
There we go. Rob working the ones and twos. All right, so line up, a little 2x2. First play of the game, just a little smash action, just like we talked about earlier. Easy. Easy money. Next play, a little tag screen off counter. Slaughter like the numbers out wide. Throw the ball. Pick up some easy yards. Just another smash action again. Get the ball in your hands, make a man miss. Little smash trail post. This has been a staple of the offense for really since Trox got here. Haven't seen it this year, but good to make a comeback in a big way.
Yeah. A lot of short passes here besides that post you're talking about, but I like the way that Slaughter looks here. Some good passes, easy completions, easy yards. Make a man miss. I like it.
Yeah. Well, if we're letting him play through, might as well watch that smash C post one more time. Great cover 4 beater. He's getting behind the corner route of the number 2. Safety takes to the number 2, and everybody just forgets about the trail post right behind it.
Yep.
Just love that. Nice little 2 over 2. Really 2 over 1.5. With the cover 3 corner being so far back, it's hard for that guy to make a play on the guy in space like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good. We can move on to the next clip.
Well, let's see. I can't just...
Nope. You gotta exit out and...
Gotta get ugly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's part of the game.
Well, we're getting ugly, boys.
Getting ugly, boys. Some Banks highlights.
That didn't work.
Nope. Not that one. That's just off the huddle. There we go. All right. Now a little backside slant action on our snag concept. That had to be some film review type stuff right there, or Slaughter just loved the look of it. Usually slant you go to at the backside. Only when it's against man or cover 0, something like that. Nice little hitch and go action. Just a goal line go. I guess. Inside release, go. I can play through one more time. Like I said, to throw the slant against zone coverage like that, especially with the backer dropping into the window, I mean, I wouldn't coach that throw up, but good for him. Hitch and go, corner bites hard. Kid caught the ball right in front of me, and I'm gonna put my hand up. I didn't think he was coming down with it. But hey, caught the ball, made a hell of a play. Love to see it. This is the banks that will unlock the rest of our offense.
Yeah, I mean, being able to hit big plays like that, I mean, just a simple slant is something that we haven't seen very much of, and it just adds another threat. You know, those big-time receivers, you get them going, you get them locked on one-on-one, backside like that, make defense really respect you. Hitch and go, big play, just that inside fade going over top of two guys. Maybe not how you coach it up, or when the ball is halfway there that you're excited to see, but ended up working, got over top of the safety there. But all big plays. That's what we're looking at here. So whereas totals are all shorter, besides the post, Banks had a couple big plays here. Get the ball in his hands, force the corners to come up. That could have been something that was set up from those short passes throughout the night also. So you get corners biting on those short passes, hit them with the hitch and go. That's, like you said, that's something that's going to take the offense to the next level.
And I think the coolest thing about it was all different types of moves. The slant is just a short underneath route. Can you catch it on the run and do something with the ball? The hitch and go, not only do you get to see the double move, but you also get to see him streaking down the sideline, just making a beautiful back shoulder catch, holding the catch through contact with the ground, coming up with it, gold. And then the last one, the tutter, just seeing him basically go up, be a dude, be the dude we expect him to be. When Slaughter makes, one might call it a less than desirable throw into double coverage, or you could call it just throwing it up to your dude. So, and him going up there, bodying, boxing out defenders, and getting the ball. So all very different skill sets that you want to see a receiver see. So he's not just a one-trick pony. He can do a lot when he's on his game. And that's why we've been so hard on him. And I think this game has showcased pretty much everything he can do.
Yep.
All right, who we got now?
I thought you had this labeled as Collins.
Yeah,
it could
Calix.
be. Okay.
Just making chase down on Jet. Real slippery athlete. Not just a great thrower, but just a dude with the ball in his hands in general. Same play from the wide angle. Bringing the pressure on the rollout. QB tries to turn it back. Nowhere to go.
Contained well.
A little blitz off the edge here. That's the thing, man. BlackSwarm has been sending the heat this year. Usually we'd be pretty comfortable to sit back in our quarters coverage and come up, make a tackle, make the offense be perfect. We're getting a little more aggressive this year for whatever reason, whether it be more obvious passing situations, maybe just a change of plan for the coordinators, or I don't know. But I'm a fan. Keep the offense off balance. Don't let them get a rhythm. Don't let them get comfortable with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love blitzing when you have the team that can do it. You don't see any huge holes opening up. It seems like everybody still has their gaps secured. So if you can be fundamentally sound, send an extra guy, take a little bit of pressure off the back end while you're doing it as well. I mean, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Last highlight of the Warren game. A little Cody Fair action. Backer that's stepped up big for us this year. Just pursuit. That motor doesn't quit. Gets in on the tackle. Little counter action. Chases down. shoots a gap, makes a tackle. Same play, little counter tray. Just gets in there. Love to see the dog piling on.
Yeah, it's Jop.
That's what?
Jop.
What's Jop?
You know, I'm not sure. I just know that's Jop.
Do you even know? Explain. Not even the audience. Explain that to me.
It's a Palma thing.
Oh, okay.
At no point in time when he was yelling at somebody on our team for doing that, and he just kept calling it Jop.
J-O-P?
I think, and we're like, jump on. Listen, there was 80 of us all looking around like, what is Jop? Does anybody in here know what a Jop? We knew what he was referring to, just like, had never heard that before. So like, Jop, what's Jop? No one knows.
On the pile?
No, that's the only thing we could think of is like jumping on pile. He's like, that's how people get hurt. That's how people get hurt. And it is. I mean,
you know what?
It's Jop.
You hate to see people get hurt, but as long as it's not your people, I'm not gonna.
Well, I think the moral of the story was that's how your own people get hurt. It wasn't like, oh, you're gonna hurt their players. It wasn't that kind of speech.
No, I don't expect that speech coming from Coach.
But
Palma.
it was like, I don't know. He was referring to that exact situation where there's a pile, like they're about to blow the whistle, and you just jump on top for no reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't even do anything, to be honest. You're just jumping on the pile, and
get that tackle point, son.
Yeah. But ever since then, I don't like seeing it. Now all I can think of when I see that is like, oh, that's just Bush League. That's Bush League. Don't do that.
I thought you were a fan of Bush League.
In certain situations, I'm a huge fan of Bush League. But the terminology is still there for a reason.
Fair enough.
And that's Jop.
It's Jop. Little screen action.
Nice.
Just pursuit from the back end. Chase down the screen. Make the play. Watch through one more time. A lot of counter from Warren. Not something you expect a team that...
GT counter?
Yeah. Not something from a team that you would classify as like not well coached.
Well, I mean that's a middle school play, Hank.
Oh, counter tray?
They're playing GT counter, yeah. Jop. I still don't know. Like, was it? I don't know who it was, but it's Jop.
Little QB counter tray action, just fake the sweep outside. Just a little smash concept, same thing we ran down their throats. Threw down their throats. Just a little linebacker blitz.
Right into the screen.
Yep. Coverage makes I mean, listen, if that guy doesn't pursue the screen guy and make the tackle like he does, that's going for a big play.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was actually really impressed by the first time through. I thought that was fair.
I think that was, I remember that live. That was Vito McConnell.
I mean, that was a great play because no one stayed back on the screen.
Yeah.
Except for that one guy. So.
Well, hey, when blitz is called, you blitz hair on fire.
Oh, no, I get it.
So now getting into Eds, just a little bit of their quarterback highlights. Not necessarily a great passer. I think they average about 100 passing yards a game.
Yeah.
I went through this stats, what I could find. Huddle's kind of iffy with it for the first 3 games at least. He didn't have like one bad game and one kind of like big game. It was 70-some yards, 110 yards, that kind of thing. He's dancing right there at the 100-yard average.
Yeah, I think I saw that they average like 100 yards passing and then like 230 rushing per game. So, I mean, that tells you kind of what you're getting into. So
yeah, the run game doesn't run through him, but he's a great option QB, ball in his hands.
I did see that, yeah.
Yep. This team here, they played at the Hall of Fame. It was whomping. This team is a nobody, and you're going to see that here on the film.
They don't have bad size, but for whatever reason, just looking at it, I was like, I think this is a nobody. Let's see.
Big nobody vibes.
They give just their size doesn't give it away, but at least from this
I think it's
still shot, it doesn't.
I think it's the wannabe Vikings uniforms.
Maybe. Well, let's see.
Just a little read option.
Well, they killed the running back.
Keeps it.
Oh, man.
Safety barely tries to make a tackle.
Yeah.
3 Stooges. I mean, props to the QB for staying up and, taking it to the house, but there it is. Just another pull on a read option.
Bad angle.
Breaks through a tackle at his feet. Nobody's on the back end to handle him and takes it to the house. Well, fake the jet sweep. Post wheel.
Post. Nice.
Safety bit on the wheel. Nobody inside to help the corner on the post, and QB just makes a play. Little play action throwback, wide open running back. A play you would want your starting quarterback to make.
Yeah.
Drop back, little curl flat.
Came out weird.
Late throw on the flat, but hey, good for him stepping up in the pocket. Just a little, I would say, play action, kind of banger to the number 3 receiver.
He has a really short throwing motion, which, I mean...
Short, compact, quick.
But can he push it downfield like that?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Here, a little read option out of a double wing. Or not read option, I'm sorry, RPO, like a glance. You got your backside receiver running like a bang 8 or a skinny or a deep slant. My favorite thing here, if you want to replay this again, is the point man, the number 2, just being wide-ass open in the middle there, jumping, screaming for the ball, and QB does not find him. Yeah. Instead, throws it into triple coverage.
Well, seeing some of the elder highlights, I think that was a takeaway of mine, was the quarterback doesn't necessarily read.
Yeah. If you want to replay that again.
Field amazingly.
Little mesh action on the goal line. He's looking for the number 2 on the backside to come free underneath. Good job by the number 2.
Nice pick play there, huh?
Yeah, good job by the number 2 on the front side here, running the pick. Just gets his head taken off. I mean, good play by the DB just to like sun him. Gave up 6, but it is what it is.
That's interference. Offensive interference, which is not going to get called in a high school game.
Nope. Late throw to the sideline, not bad on a little comeback route. Scramble, dance around, make a play. Throw late back over the middle. Good job by him finding a hole in the coverage.
His highlights make him look like
if you want to replay
quarterback.
Yeah, if you want to replay that one again, so 1 is running a clear out, 2 is running like kind of a slow play wheel, 3 is running a flat. Basically turns to a flood concept, and you just hit the hole where, in your basic flood, the corner out would be. So watch it play out. Flat defender takes the fake, kind of sits over the flat. Wheel just throttles down in the void.
Yeah. I think without watching too much of them, I think that highlights doing him well.
Yeah.
He looks like a pretty good, stud quarterback back there. You didn't see him push it downfield too much, but the throws that he made, they looked good. Tight spiral. He's moving around, looking for guys. And on the highlight tape, that looks good. If they showed all of his plays, I think that's where you start to come back to life. But right there, that his highlights actually looked a little bit better than what I expected them to be honest.
Okay. I mean, when I was watching it, I was more focused on like, wow, this one team is just absolute dog water. The other ones, it was, they drew up some good plays for him. They, like you said, a highlight reel made him look good.
Yeah.
But life's not a highlight reel. What's the rest of his game look like? And I think it speaks a lot that wasn't even 2 minutes worth of clips, and we are in week 5. So now get into the last 2 games against Eds are on YouTube. So if you want to get a whole feel for what Eds is, what they look like, then you can go back and watch those games. These are just so I made some cut-ups of Eds' double mug stuff. They like to move around a lot. They like to blitz a lot. They like to send the heat quite a bit. It always ends up in some form or fashion, usually kind of a cover 3, but these looks get tricky sometimes. So this first clip here is just a double mug look, which is when both inside backers are walked up on the A-gap. I know this clip here, the let's call him the Mike, is already backing out to get to his coverage. But he did start off in the A gap. You got 2 like wide 9s, 2 3-techs, and then both inside backers walked up. So this first one here, we're just running Y cross, which is lamp down here on the near hash, just running, basic crossing route. And I can't tell if the 2 inside linemen are trying to run a stunt or if they're just like both slanting into the A gap. But this is just basically a bluff blitz, straight rush, cover 3. So you can go ahead and roll it. So you can see, looked like Trone was expecting that backer to blitz. He drops back into the window right where he wanted to put the ball on the crosser. Deflected, almost intercepted. It is what it is. Anything stand out to you?
No, I mean, it seems like out of everything, your most standard. Bluffing a blitz, dropping into where you'd expect them to be. So, I mean, yeah, that's something you got to account for. They're going to show it and fake it. Mm-hmm. Not just that. That's as simple as, am I coming or not?
Yeah.
There's the other things where I'm showing one coverage, rolling a different coverage, and, whatever. I'm sure you have other clips.
Yep,
but,
we'll get to that.
That seems about as simple as a defense is going to disguise something.
Yeah.
So, just it looks like there's a huge void in the middle of the field. Both backers are coming. You're probably looking to get rid of it quick with both guys coming, and that's the open part of the field. They both drop. Mm-hmm. I'm sure one could come, the other one could come. They could both come. They both drop. But in that case, they both dropped right into the hole you were trying to fit it in, and it didn't work. So
on to the next clip. While he's getting that ready, I'll explain it. Basically, exact same look, the double mug. Backers hold their water a little bit more, except this time the line runs a stunt. Both outside wide 9s slant inside, and your inside 3-techs try and loop around. We get the ball out quick enough, but we'll see. So backers hold their water a little more, drop out. You can see the loop action there. Trone likes the cover 3, basically gives us a 1 to Trips, gives us a 1-on-1 to Ballard.
What happens after that, Hank?
Pass interference.
I would have no clue what happened right here.
Oh, yeah.
Zoom out!
Yeah.
God.
I know. It is what it is. But one thing with that, with this double mug look, it doesn't let you get your back out on a route. You have to honor that the threat of the blitz. You keep your back in protection, and suddenly you have 4 guys running routes against 7 men in coverage. Obviously, numbers advantage the defense. Basically, it just works out again to your standard cover 3. Except this time, the backers don't really get a chance to, playing from the line of scrimmage. They're having to haul ass to get to their hook curl zones. But against 4 verts, that's not doing much. Especially against that 1-on-1 shot to Ballard. So, on to the next one. It's going to be, you can give it a pauser here. So, there's all different kinds of what you could categorize as zone blitz. This is what you would call a sim pressure. So you fake a blitz, or you show a blitz, you end up only with a 4-man rush. And if you drew it on a whiteboard, just standard cover 3 behind it. Except this time they're dropping, let me see, I took notes here. So third one, but with this sim pressure, you actually get rotation on the back end. And one thing I did pick up with them, when they're not blitzing, you're not going to see any rotation. When they do blitz, they do rotate. So that would be something to look for in the game on Friday. They end up sending the Mike, your backside 3 drops, or I'm sorry, the Mike and the 3 drop your Sam blitzes, as well as your other 3 down linemen. So you end up with a 4-man rush, but the Sam coming, it's from an unexpected spot, so you can let it play out. Again, it's 4 verts, another one-on-one shot to Ballard.
I'm intrigued to see I'm intrigued to see the 3 drop here. I want to see if it is even worth it. What happened there, Hank? Oh, apparently it's a pass interference again. Zoom out! God.
Yeah. So you can see you only get a 4-man rush. The 3 drops, you're not expecting him to cover any specific route. Just getting the window of a hot that you might want to have coming into that void in the field if you're expecting a blitz.
Yeah, I mean, it's not common, but taking away a little hot route. I mean, what Steve Miller did it against Alabama in the semifinals game. You don't expect a defensive lineman to drop, so that's an extra confusing thing for a quarterback. But also, you have to have the hot route for it. Mm-hmm. Like in this play, they could have just blitzed him, but I guess he could be dropping into like a slant window there.
I mean, with this, it's if your protection can hold up for the 3-step and the real quick hitch, you're golden. A lot of teams, your hot route is going to be a shot play with the 1-on-1. And in this case, you got a corner press man against Jaden Ballard. Yeah, I'm taking that shot all day, every day. So here you can, at the top of the clip, you can see the safety rotation. They're on a 3-safety defense. The backside safety rolls out. The free safety rolls down to replace the Sam. Mm-hmm. And the Sam, really your nickel strong safety, creeps up and rushes.
Yeah, just rolling 3 into the trips there.
Yep. Really just rolling to fill the void for the Sam blitzing. Yeah. So your next clip is going to be a 5-man blitz. They're running cover 3, like a fire zone behind it, which is basically 3 deep, 3 under. And really, it's not even 3 deep. It's your corners are manned up outside, and your underneath 3 defenders are working out who's got 2 and 3 to either side. So on this one coming up, again, you're going to see rotation. That same rotation you just saw there with the Mike and the Sam blitzing. Your jack drops, your end loops to the A. This one, pressure hits home, protection can't hold up long enough. So, full screener, roll the clip. Line trips, motion to 2x2. Just trying to run that 4 verts again. Can't get there.
I kind of like that idea, though.
What's that?
Motioning back into 2x2 as they roll away from it. If you could catch them in it.
Unfortunately, you see that 1-on-1 with Ballard. Throw it all day, every day. But when it's covered and you got to take another hitch, you got to take another step or 2, your eyes aren't looking back to the strong side where your motion man came from.
No, that needs to be down the sideline to Ballard or immediately over top to the corner route right there.
Yeah. So it's like you look at this and you see your 2 down at the bottom here coming free, and really the only guy there is your free safety. Maybe make a play, but that's not where Trone's looking. Trone is looking, throw the 1-on-1 to Ballard. And he's not going to be able to get from Ballard to the 2, back to the 2 to the other side because of the pressure coming. See, can't hold up. Hits home.
I'd like to see you motion early enough that you see that.
Yeah. This was a game,
This was week 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week 1, 2020.
Yeah, being week 1 definitely changes a lot. But just the second time you've seen them roll into the trips, but now we're motioning away from it. So now you're going 2x2 against them rolling away. So I think that's a position you'd like to be in.
Yeah.
Right there.
And again, it's not so much rolling into the trips, it's rolling into the void that the blitz would leave. So they're not rolling because of the offensive formation, they're rolling because of the defensive play call. So,
well, I'd like to see them do that at a 2x2 then.
Yeah.
Line up and do that against 2x2. Do they do that? I bet they didn't do that. I bet they didn't. That's a smart.
I don't know. We didn't have any. I didn't see any clips of them doing that, but
because that's not a position you want to be in, right there, right?
Not really. No.
You wouldn't want to be roll. They're rolling to cover Sam. I get it, but it's towards the trips, the field side in this case. Sam strong side.
I mean,
they're placing the Sam, but you got 2-on-2 against. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a spot they'd want to be in.
No, actually,
though they could probably roll in. See, they do stuff like this. They're the kind of team that would then roll into a 4.
Yeah,
and make it look like they're doing this same cover 3 roll down, but they're actually just rolling back into a 4.
Getting back into a cover 4 look.
That's the kind of stuff that I could see them doing. Like other teams, like, oh, we're just, you just make an adjustment to where you can catch them off guard. But, maybe you get heads once. But they do this stuff. That's just what they do.
Yeah. This was a game, man. From play 1, we spammed 4 verts. And it's a good play call against cover 3. You're not just throwing shot plays down the sideline. You're attacking the seams of the cover 3, getting that 2-on-1 on the free safety up the field. So it's not a hard throw. It's not a low percentage throw for a quarterback. We hit it quite a bit against them. You obviously can't run it the entire game. You could just go cover 1 man. Then you got your seams covered and help from the free safety as well. Then you have to go from there to see if you can get to your shot play outside.
Yeah.
And by that time, with the rush that Ed's had, pressure's probably going to hit home.
Now you're just more dependent on the outside routes
in
that situation.
Which essentially turn into, is my man better than your man? So, but I think just looking at this screen here, it really speaks a lot to what they thought of their corner to have him press man 1-on-1 against Ballard like that.
Yeah.
And, he lost some. He got, but he got his too. And a little help from the rest of the defensive play calling, like that pressure there, it goes a long way. I got one more clip of their blitz stuff from 2021 when Slaughter got thrown into the fire. This one, it's towards the end of the game. It's in the low red zone. Again, zoom out. You can't see it, but they're showing a cover 4 show pre-snap. They rotate strong. The Mike and Sam blitz. The Jack drops. And they end up with a 3-on-2 on our man side of our protection. So what you're going to see is the right guard through the left tackle are sliding to their left. They're responsible for the gap to their left. The right tackle's 1-on-1. Our fullback is going to end up being responsible for B gap because we're sending number 2, Campbell, on a wide fade. Number 1 is running the snag route, which is like a slant sit. Running back, not Trell because he got hurt this game, is running just a swing route. And backside running the slant. So if you want to roll it, we can watch what happens, and then I can talk through it a little more. Coverage bust. Ball kind of sailed on him a little bit. If you want to watch the quarterback, he's got pressure right in his face. Can't really step into the throw, and it just kind of sails on him. Protection-wise, because they drop the jack and they're sending pressure to the man side, end up kind of wasting bodies. So we end up with a 4-man slide against 2 rushers. Not what you want to see, but one of our tendencies is we always slide away from the fullback. On its face value there, it's a bad tendency. However, the concept side is also usually to the fullback because that's where our twins are. And I'm more a fan of having the man side, the side that you should be worried about in the quarterback's vision. That way he can see if he's got pressure, if he's got a free man coming kind of out of his peripheral, and know that he has to get the ball away quick. So another thing here is our right tackle. It looks like he starts to kick slide to the end and then abandons it to take the backer. You don't want to see that. You always want to take the closest, the guy with the shortest route to the quarterback. In this case, it's going to be the end. So you'd like to see him man up and then just count on your quarterback to make the throw, get it out before the blitz can get there in time. And they did this shit all game. You'd like to see it better, but also at the top there, you get basically a coverage bust.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, this is a cover 3 fire zone, which essentially you end up with your corner manned up on one and your curl flat player essentially trying to take number 2. Unfortunately, with the snag and the wide fade, it's like you got to treat it like a switch route. So one of those guys has to switch off, take the outside route. They don't.
Yeah.
Rotating safety comes crashing down on the snag along with the corner trying to cover it.
It's a great play call to go into it right there. And I also think the protection holds up. I think he just missed the throw.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of pressure, but, just watching him, I don't know if he even really was affected by the pressure that much. I think he just sailed it.
Just looking at it, it looks like he can't really step into his throw. He can't really transfer his weight as much as you'd like to see a quarterback be able to do. He has to kind of flick it out there, can't follow through with his arm. And when you have to change up your mechanics like that, especially as a freshman quarterback, throw's probably not going to get where you want it to go. Ultimately, it didn't change the result of the game.
I think he just missed the throw.
Yeah. We'll agree to disagree on that one.
I see what you're talking about. He does pull away a little bit at the end to avoid contact, but I don't know if that really affects his throw. I think he's just timing a corner fade route rather than seeing that it's busted coverage and just put it on him. Those are the kind of things you're going to see with a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
First day being a freshman. Did school even start at this point? Is he still an eighth grader going into freshman year?
No, school started.
So, but I like the play call because, if you get that blitz, they jump that little slant hook, but a little stick there. But, you got the running back releasing. So, I think it's a good play against the blitz there. Yeah, you gotta make that throw. That's all.
Yeah.
But everybody misses throws, and this was a freshman getting thrown into
the fire.
Week 1.
He ended up. So this game, he ended up going 9 for 22. And the thing that stands out to me on that one is the fact that we had our freshman quarterback, who wasn't the starter going into this game, throwing 22 passes against St. Ed's.
Yeah.
Which is, we talked about it on the podcast after that game, the fact that the play calling didn't change at all. We were still in it. We didn't just okay, let's hand it off and get out of here.
Yeah.
It tells you the faith that the coaching staff had in him then, and I think it's starting to show now, what they saw and what he can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, got 3 more clips for you. It was at the top of this game, before everybody got hurt, when you come out, and we had a plan for Eds. Come out, run some unbalanced. It was the first time we showed unbalanced all year. So the number 3 receiver down here is ineligible. He's on the line. You run this stuff to get an extra blocker on the tag screen, widen guys out, play side for the run game. You and I talked about it before, and talk about it enough that when you run kind of a hurry up offense, it's a way to get into almost the idea of heavy personnel without having to substitute. You can just run up, you come out 3 wide, 1 play, where you have 3 vertical threats. Next play line up in this, which is in theory, depending on the defense you're playing, gives you a very advantageous run look in a lot of aspects. But you don't have to substitute anybody. So this is the first play. This is our first offensive snap against Eds. You can see they don't really adjust to it. You got a 3-on-2 at the bottom. You want to see a tag screen thrown there. I think he just doesn't because of the pressed corner, but you got the numbers advantage. Try and force it in there. Instead, he hands it off. So,
yeah, I mean, we've gone back and forth plenty on unbalanced sets, and I used to very much dislike unbalanced sets because if the defense knows that the number 3 receiver is ineligible right now, they can play it much differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come to realize that defenses aren't going to pick up on that. Not in real time, at least. You know, you just run up and you line up like that. The defense isn't looking to see who's on the line, who's off the line. Oh, they're both on the line. That means this guy's, wait, hold on, this guy's ineligible. Wait, no, that one's ineligible. Do they have a guy backside? You know, there's a tackle load. They just see trips, and they're pretty much just lining up the trips right here. You know, plus the full. You know, however they would normally line up to this, they aren't noticing that there's a guy who's ineligible. Yeah. So I've come to be more lax when it comes to unbalanced sets. But I'm still the guy that if I see a team lining up unbalanced, like, that's, I always tell you I don't look at formations that much, but when a team lines up unbalanced, I like, something ticks in my brain where I notice it right away.
Yeah.
I go, unbalanced, that guy's ineligible, he's ineligible, it's a run, or like, screw number 3, forget he's even out there.
Yeah,
he can be a blocker for a tag screen, I get that, but like, if you knew he was ineligible and you had time to stop and draw up a defense for it, so like, it changes things a lot.
The next clip, you will see Edge realizes it, and I'll walk through the adjustment there.
Well, let's watch this one.
But you watch it play out. He hands it off on power. It gets stuffed for like a 3-yard gain. I want you to watch the tag screen at the bottom, how it works out, and how this might have been a touchdown.
Here we go. Oh, false start. We'll pretend like that didn't happen.
See, Campbell ends up getting a good angle.
Oh, false start again.
Campbell ends up getting a good angle on that corner because that part of the tag screen, at least the man running the route, you got to take like a couple hard vertical steps upfield.
Yeah.
Sell the threat of vertical, and then get back, retrace your steps, give your numbers to the quarterback.
I'm really surprised they didn't call a false start on that. Refs love calling that, the receiver right in front of them. Yeah, when we ran a tunnel screen in high school, it was like 2 hard steps upfield and then retreat back behind them. We were like 2 or 3 yards deep.
Yeah.
It took a second. I mean, I think these tag screens a little bit quicker than that, but you're still pushing vertical first. Gives that blocker a second, and that's all it should take. You just need time to get leverage between. You just have to be inside the corner. I wish Campbell would have done a better job. That is Campbell, right?
Yeah.
I wish he'd done a better job of staying inside because you don't need to lock on. You don't got to get your hands on his shoulder pads and do a block like you would if you're an inline tight end. You just have to stay inside of him. And then look if the receiver catches the ball, it just goes inside. Don't let him inside. Bam.
Yep.
Seal him outside. You don't have, like, I don't care if you get hands on him. Just completely wall him off to the outside to where he has to go through the side of your chest in order to get back inside. And I'm sure that's a little bit of a coaching tip there. But, you know, we're looking at last year's film. But just the idea of it is, what you're talking about is it doesn't have to be a great block. You just have to get in between him and the receiver. That's it.
Yep.
And then, yeah, if he catches that, where's the safety at?
He's backing off the screen there at the top.
Yeah, Banks would have blocked him, hopefully, and boom, touchdown. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the benefit of having your 3 there, even though he's ineligible, he's still a blocker, and you still have to honor that.
Yeah.
So, on to the next clip. It was the next play after this one, same thing. He throws the tag, except this time you get to see Ed's adjustment to unbalance because they realized it. And what they do out of the cover 3 stuff is run corner over. So they'll take their backside corner, who's over there covering nobody, come over, stack up over top of the number 3, and he's over there to help block.
I like that. I mean, corners are meant to guard receivers, right? They're not out there to make tackles.
No.
So put them in the position where they can guard receivers in space and find those safeties or, whoever they bump over, a Sam or something, put them more in the box for the run support.
So you can see him. Once the clip rolls, you'll be able to see him hauling ass to get over there. We throw the tag, pick up a nice little 5-yarder, end up, 3rd and 3, 3rd and manageable. The thing with that, when you run the corner over like that, pause it here. You really don't have much of anything backside. So this is something, when you run unbalanced, you're trying to get a more advantageous look in your normal run game, but then you need to have a plan to attack that open side if they want to run corner over like that, because you have so much space on the open side that if you can get a guy loose out there, then he's off to the races. So here you can just watch the tag screen get thrown, ends up 3-on-3, blocking out front, ends up holding, has to make the receiver dance a little bit, just long enough for the end to get over there and make a play on the ball.
Yeah, you can still see, even the corner coming over here, his first thought is to get deep.
Yeah.
I'm not attacking, especially from inside leverage. He's not used to being there.
No. Not used to being inside the defense like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, first snap, would have loved to have seen that tag screen thrown, but we get it on the second and get a nice little 5 yards. All right, so the third clip I got queued up that Rob's going to bring up here, we ran it in our second drive, came out, same formation, just flipped opposite, except now I'd love this play call. Execution left a lot to be desired, but what we end up running is counter tray left to the open side with the quarterback. Fullback, filling in, taking on the end, filling that void left by the counter tray, left by the pulling tackle and guard. And your running back running a swing with 3 blockers out in front. You can see they're in their corner over stuff, so just a whole bunch of green grass down to the numbers here. And unless this was a specific, the play call says throw the swing, then quarterback is reading the Sam linebacker. The guy split out between the fullback and the 3. If he crashes on the run, then throw the swing. If he stays outside, if he does anything but crash on the run, you want to see the quarterback tuck it and run behind his blockers on that counter tray. Run's kind of stuffed. Sam sits outside. We throw this swing anyway. Play's kind of dead on execution. But you can roll it, and we can watch what happens.
Yeah, Sam was sniffing that out.
Yeah. So you can see, the whole left side of the line, tackle, guard, and center, their down blocks are great. They build the wall. You're pulling your right guard, pulling guard, going for the kick-out block on the end. End kind of plays it a little different because he's seeing the quarterback drop back like that and go untouched. But he doesn't attack him to really get that kick-out like you'd want to see.
Would have liked to see the fullback get a better block there.
Yeah, fullback just gets beat inside.
The hole is there. I'm just questioning if he could have got there.
Exactly.
Honestly, I don't know if the quarterback would have been able to get there because that end crashes so hard. But the hole, guard does kick out. Tackle wraps.
Tackle makes a good wrap.
Yeah.
Let me see. Is it the Mike or Will? Will linebacker here is just in a blender, hating his life. Watch it. He doesn't know what to do. He's seeing the blocking in front of him and the quarterback drop back. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god.
Yeah.
And I clipped this on my phone so I could watch it, zoom in and watch it super up close. You could see right when McElroy takes a snap, he flips his head to the Sam, and something in his brain, even though everything on the field says tuck it and run, something in his brain says throw it.
Yeah.
So he just tosses it here, He never looks at the blocking, so you can't really say like, oh, he saw the run wasn't there and just decided to get rid of it. But wrong read on a throw. This is essentially just an option play. It's the same as quarterback keeping the ball or pulling it on an option when the end's sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I've been playing a little bit of Madden lately.
Mm-hmm.
Not that much. But I was playing the other night, and I actually stopped to think about this, which I do it all the time. But, I'll pull up my pre-snap play, right? It'll be like, all right, I got this slot curl right here or whatever. If that Sam drops, like, I'm gonna, move on or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I will snap the ball and I will watch that Sam drop right where he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can fit in there. And I throw it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like I just took 10 seconds to look at this play, and I say, all right, this is my first read if that Sam doesn't drop. If he drops, then I am going to, whatever. Snaps the ball. Just a blatant drop. Notice, Scott, like, it's a video game, but like, he drops right where I'm saying if he does this, I'm not throwing it. He drops, throws it. Damn. I just said I wasn't going to do it, and I did, and I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a great Madden player, but it's stuff like that. It's like, all right, if he crashes, like, but you just do it anyway. But, I mean, I guess the difference between playing a video game and playing in real life is you got to be able to figure that stuff out. You got to be able to make plays like that. But, yeah, I like that play call, except for
the result.
The result, but also got to seal that end better.
Yeah.
Because, I paused it here for a reason. That is...
So when you say seal the end, you're talking the fullback on the field
fullback
side end?
Yeah, the fullback, yeah. Because right here, based on the timing, this is kind of where you would be, okay, tuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Or he might be like one step forward after tucking it. But look, I mean, there's no hole there. The right tackle is getting squeezed by the end.
Yeah.
Which the guard kicks out. Could be more of a kick out, but would be fine if backside was okay. But backside is not okay, so... there's just nowhere for him to run there.
Yeah.
But it's a great play call, like you said, because he kicks out, tackle wraps well.
And look at that. Pause it right there.
And
look,
there's your hole, yeah.
If you could hit that hole, he is off to the races.
If you could follow the right tackle, get outside of him and take off, absolutely. But, like we said, actually both ends kind of mess it up, and that's going to be a tough thing this week.
Yeah.
Eds has really good ends this year again.
And we'll get more into that here in a minute, but back to your point, I do the same thing in Madden, man. I'll sit back, I call like 3 plays because I know how the reads work, drive, Y cross, 4 verts. Oh god, I'm Mike Leach. Anyway, same 3 plays. I can cycle through them, know where to go if come up, look at my pre-snap. Okay, this is my read key. If he drops, I'm going here with the ball. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't drop, then I'm hitting it right behind him and, getting a nice 15, 20-yard gain, maybe take it to the house. And by God, if he doesn't drop and something in my brain doesn't say, I can hit the hole.
Yeah, it's every time.
Every time.
It's infuriating. But
yeah. I'm just really glad you do it too, because every time you end up walking in, watching me playing Madden, I feel like you always call out the open guy, but
yeah, we also have different things because, like you said, you call the same plays. The reads. Usually, honestly, for the most part, I just spam and let the coach decide what play to call next.
Yeah,
and I'll just pull it up real quick. I don't look at what play it is or anything, and just go like a post and some crossers. Okay, let's go. Snap, and then I'm just looking around. So when I come watch you play, I might be watching what is your 5th progression, but he's open. I go, should have hit X, and you're like, I didn't have time to hit X. I'm like, he was open early. What do you mean? It's like, no, I was looking Y B A L1 and then X.
Yeah.
Well, I saw X early. So that's half the battle. It's like I'm just looking on one side of the field. It's like, oh, he's open. But like you're going through your progressions.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nah, I'm just going to look at which guy's open.
And I will add to what I said about calling the same play. My offensive philosophy is I am going to dress up the same 5 plays a million different ways. So it's like I'm going to death by formation you and then just hit you with the same plays over and over and over again. And I got enough constraints on all that stuff that I can, overplaying one thing, I can hit another. But that's a conversation for another day. Overall, I liked our game plan coming into Eds last year, with the unbalanced stuff we haven't shown before, had ways to take advantage of their corner, of their adjustment to our unbalanced formations. I think last year, though, we kind of knew that we weren't the better team. Like I said, big 2017 vibes. Didn't quite have the talent, but we're going to try it out here, see what we can do with what we got, and then go from there. This year coming in, though, a little bit different. I think it's going to be a little bit more like that 2020 game where it's like, okay, we got some dudes. And in that game, you saw us come out 4 wide, pushing the ball downfield, slanging the rock. A lot of formations, a lot of motion. One underrated thing in that game, going back through looking at it, was we were lining up our receivers. Like, even though, we just ran trips like 3 times in a row, we were putting different guys in different spots in those trips formations every time. So it was like you could get a different guy in getting the ball. You can come out and run 4 verts out of 2x2 3 times in a row, but one time it's Ballard and Lamp in the slot. One time it's, I already lost his name, White Boy 4. Dude, Brawley and 17. He was our 4th receiver for that game most of the time. Whatever. Next snap, it's those 2 in the slot. Next snap, it's Brawley and Ballard in the slot.
Let me ask you this. Did Eds adjust to that at all? Or did they just treat everyone the same?
Schematically, it seemed like they treated everybody the same. It seemed like
That's kind of what I figured.
It seemed like their adjustment to our passing attack was sending more heat. They came out and they played cover 3 a lot more early on. And then they started getting into that double mug stuff, the blitzing stuff. They're sending guys from all over the place. They started getting into that later in the game. So I think their adjustment was start putting Trone under a little more pressure, see how much the protection can hold up, and make him be right with his first read. And if he couldn't be, or if the defense could, rotate to it, or if our guy can cover Ballard for 3 seconds, then pressure's going to hit home. So, yeah, it wasn't so much that I could tell small little incremental adjustments, more so it was play call.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for film tonight. Take a hop off, get into the Edge preview, maybe some ideas of what we can do against them, and a couple other segments, call our night, huh?
Let's do it.
All right, so that was a little film room action. Now into the Edge preview. Let me see here. So they are currently 4-0, had a couple pretty convincing wins, a couple ugly wins. Looks like they average about 220 pass yards a game, or rush yards a game, about 110 pass yards a game. I think we talked about this before. Their passing attack doesn't seem to be something to be too afraid of. Their rushing attack, on the other hand, with as good as that quarterback is in the option game, if nothing else, then it's a pretty potent attack. You're not just 4-0, and they beat Elder last week, 17-14. Just some quick stats that stood out in my head. Game 1, they won 23-0. According to Huddle, they scored all 23 points in the first quarter and then just packed it in, but Huddle's not necessarily always correct.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The QB was only 4 for 12, 77 yards, but 2 touchdowns. An INT with 13 rushes for 84 yards. Running back had 15 rushes for 111 yards in that game. So pretty even split, but with as much as they run the option, I think that's, the quarter that when you run the option, you're at the end of the day, you're letting the defense dictate who the ball carrier is. And I think a lot of defenses are going to look at that team and say, oh, well, we want the ball in the quarterback's hands and make a play on him rather than give it to the running back. Second game was that trash team, and it was the dollar store Minnesota Vikings. They won 42-10. QB was pretty sharp that game, 11-14, 162 pass yards. Only 5 rushes that game. Running back had 12 rushes, over 100 yards, 2 tutters. Third game, they won 13-9. Really weird score. Quarterback was only 5 for 15. Only 2 of 8 on third down and 1 of 2 on fourth. So I don't know if that team was like pretty good or if Ed's just wasn't great. Then against Elder, they won 17-14, had 300 rush yards on the day, but 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
And held Elder to 69 yards rushing. So, like we said, they're a really good ground and pound team. Like we've said and seen, our front 7, man, is when they're on it, they can be world beaters. So I think this is going to be a real unstoppable force meets immovable object type matchup. And I don't know how potent Elder's run game is, but to be one of the top teams in the state and get held to 69 yards on the ground, I can't imagine there's slouches there.
Yeah.
And that's where we make our money at is, the shot plays downfield and the ground and pound attack. So that'll be another matchup to look at just in general. The theme of the game is going to be each team seems like it's really good at defending what the other one is good at. So who's going to step up? Who's going to make a play? Is our line going to get movement up front? Is our defensive front 7 not going to let him go anywhere with the ball and make the quarterback make a play with his arm? So with that, Rob, you want to run through the roster, see any names of note, anything that stands out?
Yeah, so, their personnel kind of matches this style of play that they have. They have a very big offensive line, 6'7", 280, 6'5", 290, 6'3", 300, 6'3", 295, 6'7", 315. So
Bigums.
Big line, yeah, that's for sure. Shortest guy is 6'3", smallest guy is 280. So huge offensive line. They have their left tackle, left guard, and right tackle all have offers from Penn State.
Oh.
So that's worth noting. Center has some small school offers. Right guard, don't know about when it comes to offers. But big line, right? Good line. Their tight end, he's a good receiving target. He's 6'3", 210, so got some size to him there. So the receivers, 6'2", 185, 6'1", 170, 5'10", 160. It's the one, he's actually number 1, receiver, Kyan Mason. Mm-hmm. He's their number 1 big threat player.
So they have
offense.
They have him labeled as the H, so that means he's more their slot guy.
Mm-hmm. He has an offer from Pitt. Number 1 big threat player for sure. So let's see here. Running back is 5'9", 190, and they have another backup running back 5'10", 180 that are similar players, strong physical runners. Let's see. The quarterback is a junior, 6'1", 195. We saw some film of him. We went through some of his stats as well. You see the good, you hear about the bad. His percentages are definitely not where you'd want your starting quarterback's percentages to be. Going like 4-12 in one game, 5 of 15 for another game. That's not where you want him to be. In the Elder game, they had some turnovers. I know they fumbled at like the half-yard line at one point. Quarterback threw a bad interception at one point. Just over the middle. Didn't see the 5 defenders that were right there.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the one piece of film where he goes out and scrambles, throws it into triple coverage rather than didn't even see his tight end just wide ass naked open.
Yes,
checking the time.
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be checking him in the run game, right? They're going to do that option. You're going to have to be disciplined. Everybody's going to have to play their lanes and try to shut that down the best as possible because that's really what they rely on. What we saw from the highlights earlier is when they do pass it, they have some nice concepts. They like to try to beat you with the concept rather than the athlete, it seemed, from the quarterback's highlights at least. You know, they got the wheel, they got the throwback, some stuff like that. So just a straight drop back pass play. Haven't seen them do much with that. You know, if you go back and look at his highlights, that's probably most of his successful pass plays on the year total. So something to what you said, that we're this far into the year and his highlight looks like that. So don't expect him to just come out and throw it on us that well. I mean, every team's going to get one. They're a smart team. They have some smart concepts, what we've seen. They're going to try to get their guys open. And the quarterback, it looks like he can hit the open receiver, at least on his highlights. You know, might struggle and be inconsistent, but his highlights, it made it look like he has a good ball that comes out.
Yeah.
Somewhat, I mean, pretty accurate also. So
good throwing motion that usually lends itself to a, you know, pretty consistent, accurate ball.
Yeah, so where the issues come from, I'm not sure. You know, maybe you get into, you know, those 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, and you know it's a passing down, and that's where he struggles. Because you don't see him just dropping back, scanning the field, and throwing in rhythm that much from his highlights. So we'll see. But the number one thing is you have to shut down the run. You have to shut down that option, keep him from running, or, you know, like Hank said, pick where you want the option to go, but limit the yards. So they give me the quarterback and have 100% share of the runs, but just don't give him a lot of yards. So, I mean, in the past, our defense has always done well against run-dominant teams, even when there is, like, what people would call, like, trickery to it. Like, you know, not that an option is really tricky, but they're trying to find you where you're weak at, right? Or even, like, be deceiving with it, potentially, to an undisciplined defense. And I think our team has been so disciplined over the years on defense against the run and how good our front seven is this year. It's going to be a tough battle for both teams. It's going to be our front seven going against Ed's running attack that, you know, they're known for it. It's what they've been doing all year. It's what they've been doing forever. And it's going to be a tough battle. I would expect it to be a grinded out game.
Yeah.
You know, each team might have a big play that happens, but in general, I think there's going to be a lot of running clock, you know, quick game where it's just they're running it, we're stopping the run, they're trying to stop the run. So it's going to be a tough game in the trenches, but just conceptually, I think our defense is up for the task. Now, can they do that against an opponent with this size and shut them down? You've seen what they can do against Glen Oak, do against Mansfield, right? Do against a Warren. You give up a big play, but in general, you're not giving up yards, right?
I mean,
can you do that against an Eds?
You could even go back and watch the Moeller game once it's on YouTube in December.
December, like 24th or something, yeah.
It got bumped up to the 4th. You know,
December 4th.
The day after the season officially ends for OSHA.
Yeah. Wouldn't want anybody to have film out there of those great angles.
Yeah, just, you know, you can see so much going on. That Moeller never really drove on us consistently.
Yeah.
Everything came off a big play.
Absolutely.
It was either off, you know, a missed tackle on an RPO, just missed tackles here and there. I'll give him the shot play that T-seam. That was perfectly drawn up play, coverage beater. They won that one. You know what? I'm not taking that one off the board for big plays we shouldn't have given up. Everything else, though, you contain that. I think this game is going to look a lot like what the Moeller game should have for us. And it's going to be a slobber knocker.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. That being said, that was their offensive side of the ball. Rob, you want to tell us a little bit about the defense?
Sure. Let's see here. So the defense conceptually is going to be the same thing. They have two very good ends. Let's see here. 6'5", 250, 6'1", 225. One's going to Coastal Carolina, one's going to Northwestern. So
College kids.
They
They
are
aren't players.
college kids, yeah. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good players. They wreak havoc. And I was watching the one YouTube video earlier today where it showed some highlights of the older game, but also was like interviewing some of the players, interviewing the coach. And they were talking to one of the ends, and they were talking about like this little battle that they have going on where, you know, they're both trying to get sacks, of course, but it seems like it's a little bit of a challenge, a battle, like a competition between them. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to compete against each other, see who can do better, who can get more sacks, get more tackles for losses. You know, high energy players, and it's going to be tough to try to contain both of them throughout the night. With that, they have a defensive tackle that has an offer to Kentucky, 6'5", 255. Nose tackle, 5'11", 235. So not quite as big, but...
Now, I do want to make note of this because we both got the thing. It looks like that the nose tackle is, I don't want to say the worst guy up front because I don't think they really have any bad players up front. He's just the least standout of the four, of their front four.
Yep.
And he's wearing number 11. We've talked about this before, bad numbers. A nose tackle wearing number 11 and you're not the dudest of the dudes, I think he needs to, like...
Well, none of them wear, like, defensive line numbers.
But if you're wearing number 11 as an interior defensive lineman, you better be the dudest dude that ever duded.
That is like a dude number.
Yeah. And he's not. So I think the officials should treat it like bad knee pads and make him go to the sideline, leave the game until he changes into an appropriate number.
Yeah.
I need give me like a 58.
58?
Yeah, 58.
Not even the respect of like a 98 or something. Like.
No, that seems like just like looking at our little scouting report. He's a 58.
Okay. An offensive lineman that's playing defense.
Yeah, just a lineman number, yeah. Nose tackle. All right.
That's a nose tackle number if you go both ways.
Sure. It's high school, too.
It doesn't go in both ways like that.
All right. Keep her moving. Linebackers, what do we got?
All right, linebackers. Seems like a strong suit. 6', 225, 6', 200, 5'11", 210.
Now, with the 5'11", 210, he's their second Mike backer.
Yep.
So they run, kind of similar to us.
Guess we should have started with that. But yeah, their defense is a little bit different.
It's essentially our Sam linebacker is another strong. It's like your classic roll down cover 3 strong safety on the field. He's gonna be able to fit the run, but he's gonna be able to play in space, play vertical too. So they really only trot out 2 inside linebackers, your Mike and your Will, just like we do. I think structurally the only difference is that they keep their Obi, their jack backer down on the line in a 5-tech stand up, but still down on the line, and they play cover 3 rather than cover 4. So, safeties, strong, free, and weak. What do we got there?
5'11", 160, 5'8", 150, 6 foot 190. Not the strongest part of their team there. Let me see here. It's not the strongest part of their team. So, whereas they're a little bit more stout up front, secondary, lacks a little bit of that firepower. So at least from the safety standpoint, and I mean, like you said, they're deploying a third safety. We have it classified as a third safety, so not the strongest part of their defense.
So with that, at least in the passing game, you'd want to look more for the matchups, from your slots. Your number 2 receiver over their defender. What can he do against him in coverage? Your guy, between outside the tackle box but inside the corner. I think we've shown formationally we can move guys around enough. If we got a matchup we think we like, then we can put guys there, force them to cover them, and see what happens. Corners, round out the defense.
5'10", 160, 5'11", 170. Decent players. The one has some small-time offers, but in general, it looks like those might be some matchups so we could exploit as well. Mm-hmm. So the secondary in general, I think you're kind of looking for matchups, and I think we're going to try to find some matchups against their secondary. So they're out there. They're to be had. So, like you said, they move things around so much, and it's kind of always hard to get an idea of exactly what they're going to give us on defense in the secondary. But we do match up against their secondary. As long as we can read everything well, have the play call matched against what they're going to protect it well, we have some shots. So there's probably not, with that good of a team, with that well coached of a team, you're not going to get too many, open shots. You're going to have to capitalize. Yeah. So when you get them, you got to make them count for sure.
You're not against a team like this. You're not going to have that tight end running wide ass open down the middle of the field like that.
Yeah.
With their corners, I see they had them labeled right corner and left corner.
Yep.
Which they line up on the same side of the field every time. Something like that. Again, you can move guys around, put guys where you want, try and find your best matchups. Almost treat it like the old Legion of Boom days where Richard Sherman was always on the same side of the field. And most teams towards the end there, when they go and play him, they're just putting out their scrub wide receiver 4, line up against him. We know the ball's not going his way. Just scratch it off. We can scheme up or find the matchup somewhere else. So look for that to be a matchup. Into the blitzing stuff, like we showed in the film room, talked about in there, ways to combat that. I think the biggest thing is just staying on schedule. Don't get in those second and long, third and long, obvious passing situations. You stay out of that, and you can try and you can force them to stay more honest to the entire game that you can bring to the table. Honor the run game. 2nd and 10, you're probably not getting much in the way of the run anyway, with the way their front 7 is. So you might have to pass the ball a little more than you'd like. And when you're in those situations, then they can start running all that razzle-dazzle bullshit that works for them. Another way you can combat that is with tempo, and that's not just moving fast. That's, hit them with get a good play, run, hit them with another one real quick, hit them with another one real quick, then come up to the line, act like you're going to hit them with another one quick, and then hit that freeze call, check with me stuff. And just you want to vary the tempo so that they don't know what's coming. And we talked about it on the podcast, it was either last year or the year before, about how we always gave away the freeze call. We fixed that this year. Before this year, anytime we were doing the check with me stuff, the linemen never put their hands in the dirt. Then after the play, they would get down in their 3-point stance. This year, they're always in a 3-point stance. And then when they do the freeze stuff, check with me, get up, look at the play, and then get back down. So we no longer have that tell that we're not running a play, so they have to honor every time I get up to the ball. One other thing is the quarterback can vary up his cadence. A traditional cadence, like the blue, set, go. You would want to see a quarterback against a team like this because you can see that they don't rotate until they know the ball's about to be snapped. You would like the quarterback to, instead of so my senior year, it was white, set. White, set. That was it. You would want it, white, set. White, set. Like, you want to change up the cadence so the defense can't get a key on it. A little bit harder, the fact that we go with the clap this year, but you see it in college all the time. Quarterbacks like walk up to the line, fake clap, real clap. Easy enough. Like, you can even be bigger, more boisterous about it. But there's ways to combat that, all of the shit they do. I think the last thing is hiding what side is your slide side, what side's your man side, so they can't keep scheming up what side to blitz on. And the easiest way to do that when we're in obvious pass sets, 4 wide stuff, one play, running back is lined up to the man side. Next play, running back is lined up opposite the man side, and he just post-snap, bumps over real quick, across his face. And we're really good at that. That's one thing that when we're in our 4 wide stuff, you can't really get a read on what side is going to be the man and slide side. I think we protect that pretty well. Overall, I think we have the tools in the toolbox to be able to combat what they do.
Yeah, I think that summed it up pretty well. There's always some things you can do to keep a defense out of rhythm or to keep them from being able to control things too much. Changing up the snap count, not just the cadence itself, but going for on 2 every now and then. Get a defense lineman to jump, stuff like that. You gotta stay disciplined. Eds is a disciplined team as well, but just one of those things that slows them down. Going up tempo in general, we've talked about, usually keeps a defense a little bit more vanilla because they just want to get lined up and play football rather than trying to adjust and make sure they can get. They don't want to give up any big plays. They want to make sure everybody's in the right position. The way to do that is keep it a little bit more vanilla. Good teams are still going to be able to mix things up a little bit against speed, but you can limit it by doing that. So I'd like to see, specifically because how we were watching the film earlier, but show some of those motions. Motion and see what the defense does. Or are they timing it up? Are they trying to roll? Are they trying to disguise stuff? Can we motion, take a second, and then still snap? Does it have to be in rhythm? Can you motion, do a different formation? You go from 3x1 to 2x2, 2x2 to 3x1. However you want to do it. Can you do that and then read the defense? And that's the nice thing about motioning is it can show the defense a tell sometimes. It forces them to give up what they want to do, or they might be timing it off of that. As soon as you motion, are they rolling immediately? Are they waiting? Are they trying to time it up to snap? Sometimes you're going to see stuff like that. The more you vary your cadence, you vary your timing, it messes with the defense's timing as well. So they're going to accidentally show things sometimes when you do that. So some of the things I'm looking for, the defensive ends, can we run right at them? Can we slow them down by running at them? They're going to get a pass rush. They're good players, but sometimes the best thing to do against a good defensive lineman is run right at them. Can you tire them out? Can you run at them, slow them down? Can you make them come from a further distance with an inline tight end, the fullback in there? It's going to be a tough game, for sure. And Eds is so well disciplined. They do so many different things, and they have the talent to back it up that we're going to have to be on our A game. But these are all things that we have shown in the past. It's nothing new that we have to do. We just have to go out there and do it. So just a couple of the things that would come to my mind when it comes to playing a team like this.
I think the last thing I'm going to add is when you play these really good teams like Eds is, you know that they're not scared of you. So they're not going to panic, shit their pants, throw out their entire defense, and just throw a bunch of bullshit at us. You can watch film, see what they do against similar opponents, and against what they did against you the last couple of years. And know that that's probably what you're going to get on Friday night. You come into a team against, like, say, Mansfield, where they're pretty structured, look like a pretty standard cover 4, 4-3, 4-2-5 under front team. And then Friday night, they run that 6-1 front, overload one side, overload another. Even talking to Trox before the game, he was like, we couldn't get a read on where they were overloading. There was no rhyme or reason as to it was to the field, to the boundary, to the fullback, to the tailback's alignment. They couldn't get a read on it because it was almost at random. And we've been seeing that enough. We're really good at figuring out how teams are trying to play us that you can usually, by halftime at the latest, figure out how they're trying to overplay it. So coming into Friday night, you know what you're going to face. It's just, can you line up, put your hand in the dirt, and beat them?
Yeah.
So that's all I got for the Edge preview. Let's get into some spreads, some fan questions, and get out of here, huh?
Alrighty. Jump into some spreads first. This is my first time looking at it as well.
All right.
So we're going to go through this together here. All right. So, almost missed one. Hoban, 13-point favorites at home against Ignatius.
Ooh. Hoban's first in-state game this year. I guess, Massillon, we have trouble finding opponents that want to play us within the area. Apparently Hoban has trouble finding teams within the state that wants to play him. Hoban's minus 13 against Iggy, huh?
Yes.
Hoban's so good. When you're playing a all-Ohio team like Hoban is, everything in there I'm implying. They're hard to beat, man. Iggy's Iggy, but Hoban's Hoban. Give me Hoban.
Yeah. I mean, the all-Ohio team that has starters from not Ohio on their team. That is tough. I think I'm going to go with Iggy to cover.
Taking Iggy to cover. Would you take him outright?
Do I think Iggy's going to win? I haven't really watched too much of either team this year. I pay attention to some spreads. Hoban, I don't think has had a spread that we've mentioned or I've seen because it's, not familiar teams.
Well, when you're playing Colorado Sister Marys of the Poor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, half their kids are probably from, no, they don't have kids from Colorado, I don't think. Only from California. And that's legit. Kid from California.
Yeah. Quarterback
from Virginia. Let's see. I'm going to take Ignatius as a cover, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it.
All right. I like it.
Alliance minus 6 at Central Catholic.
Is Central Catholic anything this year? I saw they were ranked like 5th in D, whatever the hell they are.
They hung with Perry for almost a half.
Give me Alliance.
Before getting blown out.
The fact that you said they hung with Perry, give me Alliance.
Alliance got blown out by Lake?
Don't care.
Like 40-0.
Central had to hang with Perry. Give me Alliance.
Alliance minus 6 at Central. Okay. Northwest minus 34 at Tuslaw.
Oh no.
Mustangs are down bad, I guess.
Oh, yeesh. Northwest just got beat last week. Tuslaw down bad. I like Alliance to win, but give me Tuslaw to cover.
Tuslaw to cover. All right, let's see here. Lake minus 27.5 at Louisville.
Oh, man. Couple, sneaky fast teams. Real gym rats. Ah, God. Give me Lake.
Let me see. 27.5. Yeah, I'm going to take Lake also. Hoover minus 3.5 at home against Glen Oak.
Wow. Hoover down substantially.
Got beat up by Mansfield.
Beat up by Mansfield, who couldn't even put a point on the board against us. Against our JV squad, no less.
I mean, it was mostly varsity. JV got some time out there.
Give me Glen Oak.
Really?
I need a dog here.
Okay. Perry minus 15 at home against Jackson.
Perry coming off a big comeback win against McKinley. Big hangover game. Give me Jackson.
McKinley minus 2 at Green.
Oh, boy. Is McKinley going to finally get one this year? I mean, holy shit. Like...
Over.
0-4 McKinley.
Oh, for the love of McKinley.
Barely favored against Green.
Oh, for the love of McKinley. Can they cover minus 2 at Green? Because they're 0-4.
Green still running 5 wide?
Over. Yeah, the quarterback, who is a failed... that's a bad way of saying it. Green's quarterback went to Hoban, didn't make it, so now he's back at Green. And he threw it like 68 times last week.
Give me Green.
Yeah, I think that 5 wide might be a little weird for McKinley. Okay. Iowa State minus 18 at home against Ohio.
Revenge game for Matt Campbell. Because it's the state he's from. Iowa State. Yeah, do that math.
Oklahoma minus 12 at Nebraska.
Nebraska just fired their head coach.
Yeah, do they have the
need a win, need
interim
something.
Coach miracle right there?
Got the interim coach. Needs something for that program. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink against Oklahoma, who lost Lincoln Riley, and other than that, I don't know what they are.
Yeah, they got what's-his-face, though, right? As their coach, Venables.
Oh, yeah.
I think he could dial something up against lackluster Nebraska. But doesn't change anything you said about him.
Give me the Cornhuskers. They need one. That program is down bad, and they are, like, hungry for a W.
Yeah. Michigan State at Washington. Washington minus 2.
Go Big Ten.
Miami at Texas A&M. A&M minus 6.
A&M just came off a heartbreaker to App State. Jimbo Fisher's got the bag, and he's got just so much job security there. I'm so down on A&M that I already lost who you said they're playing, but I'm picking the other team.
Miami.
Never mind. A&M to cover.
You don't like the U, huh?
Nah.
Mississippi State minus 2 at LSU.
Last thing I heard about Mississippi State was they put up like 800 yards against LSU in 2020.
Okay.
Then Bo Pelini got fired. He was the DC for LSU that year. Go Air Raid. Give me Mike Leach.
The last I heard about LSU is that they have a coach that shouldn't be there. So,
Go Tigers.
See. That's not him.
I know.
BYU at Oregon. Oregon minus 4.5.
I like the Mormons.
Penn State minus 3 at Auburn.
Go Big Ten.
Ohio State, 31-point favorites at home against Toledo.
Ohio State's got to cover sometime. It's going to be this week.
This is the one they cover. That only leaves us with the Massillon spread.
I think they got Eds -6.
No.
-14?
No.
Massillon -3?
No.
Wrong direction?
Yeah.
Oh, God. What is it?
Ed 17.
17.
Yeah.
What, 3-possession game, huh?
That's what they think of us, apparently.
Wow. Oh, dude, I'm taking Massillon all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not homering, but like...
If nothing else, I think it could be a low-scoring game. To win by 17 is going to be something. You know, I think we played horrible against Moeller.
Yeah.
And...
we kept it close. I mean, we were in it.
Yeah.
Like, we were never... we were out of it, but we weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for it to be 17 points, like, you'd have to jump up on us early, and then both teams grind it out after that.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like a 10-point game, and you get one late. But I'm taking Massillon to cover for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. I like Massillon.
Absolutely.
Massillon plus 17?
Yes.
Yes. Hammering that.
For sure.
All right. So, that's all we got for our spreads. Let's get to the fan questions. I think you know which one should be last.
That's weird. Let me see, because I saw some of them come in, right? But that doesn't mean that I saw all of them. I'm guessing you want that one to be last.
The pretty obvious, the shortest question we got. Yeah.
So let me see. I think that's.
We can do.
We'll do that one second to last. I like that one. I forgot about that one because it wasn't.
Max's that he sent last week.
Yeah.
I like that one too.
Okay. Anonymous submission in all caps. Holy shit, a slant. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I've talked about it before. We've had the slant in our playbook for a while. Usually it's on the backside of some kind of zone beater trips concept. We just don't throw it a lot because you see so much zone in high school that usually there's a backer dropping into that window, so you don't want to throw it. It's there if quarterback walks up to the line. If he sees man, then throw the slant. But like I said, we get so much zone. Just that's the nature of high school football. It just doesn't get thrown. I think this goes back to a lot of what I've said over the last couple episodes of just because you don't see the ball go that way doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
But yes, it was nice to see a slant taken to the house.
It's my first time reading the second half of this one.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a long one. Let's see here. A tight end pass. That was a beautiful thing to see. First game, I had nothing to worry or complain about. Well, that's good. I've watched the last two Eds games, and they are definitely beatable. I'd agree with that.
Yep.
They're not unbeatable, that's for sure. With a bit of luck, the Tigers can do this. Play clean, limit the unforced errors. This is definitely doable. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same concept for playing any good team. Eds is beatable. We should have beat them
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2020.
Should have beat them 2 years ago. And, injured quarterback and some stuff happens and yada, yada. But, yeah, I mean, they're definitely a beatable team. Yeah. That's for sure. But against any good team, you got to come out. You got to play clean. Win the turnover battle. No dumb penalties. Limit the penalties in general. Play smart football. And, catch a break every now and then.
Yeah.
Any game can go any direction, so...
I think I'll roll through this a little bit. Tight end pass, that was beautiful to see. We just haven't needed him much in obvious passing situation. We haven't needed him much because when we're in obvious passing situations, he's not our fourth best receiver, so you don't have him out there. Other than that, Moeller was really the only team you'd want to catch him off guard in so much as have a tight end on the field and run some kind of drop back pass or something like that with him there. And when we did, I talked about before, the first time we ran drive this year, he was the one running the dig route. It's just that their backers dropped, covered it up, and the drive route, coming the shallow underneath it, was the one that was open, so that's where the ball went. Other than that, yeah, he's mainly been in protection or there to, like against Mansfield, extend the edge for the run game. His job is mainly as a blocker. You don't see it as much now because we can run 4 wide because we got the athletes. When we want to pass, you get the best athletes on the field. But using him in the pass game like that, love to see it. First game, I had nothing to complain about. Yeah, I think we played a real clean game. We didn't have much say in the Warren segment because we just looked so good. Ed's definitely beatable. Like you said, he's beatable. With a bit of luck, the Tigers can do this. I don't think we need luck. I think we play our game. Like he said, like he went on to say, limit the unforced errors, play clean. I like us. Then he went on to say, first week of a multi-week meat grinder. I don't know who the meat grinder is because we have Fitch than a Delaware team.
Fitch is good.
Yeah, Fitch is good. Fitch is always weird.
Fitch is good this year.
But I wouldn't call him a meat grinder.
Fitch is good this year.
All right.
We're not going Ed's Iggy.
No.
Hoban.
No. That's what I call a meat grinder.
But, I mean, Warren's not great. Mansfield wasn't great. Glen Oak wasn't good. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been different, I guess, if you went Moore, Glen Oak, Eds, Mansfield. Or like, nah, I guess you would have spaced it out more. But, yeah, I mean, you have 2 decent teams back-to-back. I mean, Eds is good. It's a good Fitch team this year.
It's a good Fitch team. Not trying to take anything away from him. I just think
as many D1 kids as we have.
Oh. I like us in the trenches. I think we're going to run all over them without watching a lick of anything about them.
In general, they're not as big as us, but they do have like a defensive end that's like a Big Ten guy.
Run away from him.
Run at him.
They had a defensive tackle that played in the league.
As a center.
And our entire game plan, you just run away from the good kid. Like, it worked.
Yeah, it depends on the kid. Sometimes you run away from them. Sometimes you run at them. And your scheme, their scheme.
But, yeah, that's all we got for that one. Like I said, I like our chances. And last Delaware team that came to town, we crushed them. So, I wouldn't put that in the meat grinder category either.
Yeah, I think it's referring to Fitch.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Here's one that I don't think we've ever really just talked about.
We've danced around the subject.
And I don't think I'm really going to talk about it now either, but it's more of a direct approach. Let's see here. My question is, did the talent of Turner, Justin Turner, Devin Smith, Kyle Kempt, Brody Ton, Garyon Conway, etc., mask how bad the program was under Jason Hall?
Yep.
Or did he just burn out during his hour-long commute every day? That's a nice little shot at him, because if you didn't know, he lived in like the northern part of Twinsburg or something, and he'd roll in at like 10 a.m. every morning.
Yeah,
morning. Let's see here. What really happened? I'm grateful for the fully invested staff we have today. So yes, the program's in a much better spot now. Yes, there was talent here when Jason Hall was here. Yes, Jason was not great. I think all of that. I mean, yeah, the program wasn't as good. We still had some. I mean, we still have some of the same coaches. You know, it's not a full turnover. It's not like everything was bad. That's for sure. But starting at the top, it's definitely better now. Yeah, the program wasn't great. If you're looking at it from more than just a wins and losses category, because there's so much more to it than that. You know, a lot of people would only want to talk about that, but, you know, development, youth programs, academics, getting kids into college, all of that was a nothing. I mean, that wasn't happening when Jason was here. You know, some of the kids you talked about, I mean, Justin Turner, Devin Smith, Kyle Kemp, Brody, Garyon. So, I mean, JT was an All-American. He was going to a big school, whether Jason Hall had anything to do with it or not. Devin Smith used to get a letter. This true story. He would get a shoebox every single day after school in the off season. I think it was usually Berkeley would bring him a shoebox that had all these different college letters in it. And like during basketball season, Devin would take them, and a lot of the times he didn't really look at them. He wanted to go to Ohio State. That's what he wanted to do. Ohio State was the school. And of course, like Ohio State and Urban Meyer and how they recruit, especially kids from in the state, especially kids that want to go there already. They wait till the last second, yada, yada, yada. Devin was getting letters from every single school in the country. Every single school in the country, like daily. There was nothing Jason Hall could do to stop him from going to a big school. Garyon ran like a 4.2 at the Nike Combine and had big schools all over him the next day. You know,
Yep.
Hard to hide that. Kemp going out there and breaking records. His dad, his brother is well connected with colleges and stuff, and yeah. The bigger story is all the kids that didn't go to college when Jason Hall was here. It's easy to talk about the few that did, but if you go back and look at some of the talent we had, or even if you don't look, I mean, this is Massillon, right? There's always talent somewhere.
Yeah.
There are college kids out there. And the fact that, like, not many of them were really going to college for sports, not just football, but sports.
Yeah.
There's stories of college letters mysteriously disappearing.
Oh, good.
In Jason Hall's.
You've been dancing around that. I was hoping you wouldn't completely neglect the fact that he was
hiding letters.
Yeah. I'm not going to put his name out there, but guy got a letter from Buffalo. Hall hid it from him. Found out about it like much, much later. Went to Buffalo, said, "Hey, like, yeah, I would love to be here." And they said, "Sorry, kid. You know, we didn't hear anything back from you, so we had to give the scholarship back to somebody else." So
there's a couple stories like that. There's kids that went to schools, but there were other schools looking at him that he didn't know about. A guy in my grade had letters that he ended up finding, but it was like super late, and then nothing was optimized. You know, now we are pushing kids into schools, right?
Yeah.
There are coaches here, colleges here all the time. They have the showcases. They're promoting the kids to these schools nonstop. Whereas in the last regime, there were kids that didn't even know there was colleges interested in them. So, not great from that standpoint. But
I mean,
there's also a rumor that Jason was trying to get a coaching job at a specific college.
Really?
And that's like part of the reason why he was pushing the one kid to go to a school and hiding all of the other letters from him. Because Jason thought he was getting a coaching job at that college.
Yeah.
That could be false. I don't know. But it lines up. And if you want to know anything about the program under Jason Hall, just look at his record since he's left.
Yeah. And look at Maslin's record since he's left. I mean, yeah, we've had stars in here too, all-world talent at various positions, but he was the consummate play down to your opponent level head coach.
Yeah.
The only people that really have anything good to say about Jason were the kids that played under Stacy.
Yeah, I always found that surprising.
And I think that really, to me, that speaks more about whatever the fuck Stacy was than what Hall is. But you talk to kids that never really got to play under that Stacy regime, and nobody liked Hall. It was, I mean, I can't remember if we've openly talked about it before, but we don't call him coach. You know, you have
Jason.
Yeah, you have a coach in a sport, and coaches have such an effect on kids' lives. You call them, like, that's just coach for life. And Jason Hall is just Jason. Like, he doesn't get that respect. He never earned that. I think for me, just like seeing it directly on the field, just playing for him, he was a micromanager, played favorites, and was just in general a dickhead. I can't remember if I told the story before on the podcast, but of when it was two-a-days senior year, and Trelly was full-time middle linebacker, but he got spot time at running back too because he was such a dude. Just in the middle of a two-a-day practice, everybody's hating life. It's Jason yells over, "Trell, get in a running back." And Trell walks over to the bench, just sits back. "Nah, I'm good, coach." And it's like Hall didn't even think about it. Like, "Ryan, get in a running back." Like, you can't do that in front of the entire team and keep the respect of anybody. It's just, you don't do that. Like, and I think shit like that, at least it seems like, doesn't even happen under this new regime. I think there's been a point to get more Maslin guys in here. How stable the staff has been over the years, I think, speaks a lot of volumes too. 2010 through 2012, my playing career, I had 3 different OCs, 2 different DCs, various position coaches. We had a McKinley guy coaching offensive line. Like, I love Leisure. Loved Coach Leisure. But he's a McKinley guy. Like, that shit doesn't happen now. But yeah, man. Like, program's in a much better spot. Hall just... And the other thing is, you got to be a good speaker. I think that's part of the job description that a lot of people overlook when you're a head coach. You got to be able to motivate your team, talk to them. He had like 3 phrases he would always say every single day.
Don't do it.
What's the one thing you can't measure, Rob?
Just leave it at that. He had the same phrases.
What's the one thing you can't measure?
Shut up.
It's heart.
Shut up.
It's what's here in your chest.
I'm going to leave.
And you know what? If the shit was easy,
I'm going to leave.
Everyone would do it.
I'm moving to Westlake.
And it's like, you can recycle speeches and shit you say to kids because just the nature of high school football, every 3 years you have an entirely new team. But you can't say the same thing like every year, much less every single fucking practice. And that's what he would do. Shit got old. He got old. I think... Yeah, he just sucked as a human. Like, that's the end of the day.
Yeah. I think I had... I'm trying to think of who the offensive coordinator was on varsity my freshman year. I don't remember. So Woods was here my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. He was the offensive coordinator my sophomore year.
When we quietly got the OC from the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, and we didn't even know anything about him when he came here. Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator my sophomore year. Menchez was my junior year,
which was nothing to take away from him. But
he went from being the head freshman coach to being the OC
for varsity.
I don't think he just kind of stopped coaching after.
Yeah,
I think he helped with I think he runs the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his brother Tom.
But he still taught.
Did he keep teaching?
Yeah.
Tom stopped. I don't know when. I don't know. I didn't follow their lives that
Non
closely.
sequitur.
I think Tim's back to coaching, like middle school or something now.
Oh, is he?
Something like that.
Hell yeah.
I think I read that. He was the coordinator my junior year. Senior year was McDaniels until he couldn't put up with Jason Hall anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just wasn't our offense coordinator anymore.
I mean,
then I don't know if we had an offense coordinator after that.
I mean, it's far enough away. We can talk about the fact that he wanted Brody to be the quarterback, and Jason said, no, Kyle's starting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess it all worked out for everybody, I suppose.
Talk about playing favorites.
True.
Talk about how much they just loved your guys' class for whatever reason. Absolutely hated us.
Did you guys go 10-0 freshman year?
We would have whooped your... Are we going to talk about how half your freshman team wasn't there as sophomores?
Did you guys go 10-0 freshman year? The important ones stayed.
The important ones were like... Okay, we're not going to get into it, but there's multiple that weren't. No, our best players freshman year weren't playing.
So did you guys go 10-0?
Alex Winters was like our fourth string running back. And Jason Hall would leave the varsity practice to come down into the indoor where we're practicing. And he would just come and talk to Alex. And we're like, what's up with that? Like, why is he in there talking to Alex?
Yeah,
and then weird. As a sophomore, Alex ran for like 1,500 yards.
That's why I was talking to Alex.
On varsity. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, just forget freshman year. But it was like weird because Alex wasn't like... He ended up being a really good player, right? But as freshmen, we didn't think that, like, oh, he'll run for 1,500 yards on varsity next year as a sophomore. It was like, yeah, we'd like to see him out there as our 1 or 2 running back. But, like, so I don't know. Maybe they just knew he'd be good. I don't know. But they loved you guys for whatever reason.
We were good.
We would have whooped your ass.
Your senior year, did you make it to the playoffs? Did you beat McKinley?
We would have whooped your ass. You didn't play the McKinley team we played. You guys played some rundown McKinley team that lost all their players to you.
We played them and won twice.
McKinley sucked. You didn't play the McKinley team we played. That's for sure.
I know. Back in my day, you had to walk uphill both ways.
Look it up.
16 feet of snow and 95-degree weather.
Look up the teams. Look up the McKinley team we played.
Yeah, I see. There's an L next to it, and then there's 2 W's next to ours.
Yeah, that and, like, the best players from your class all stunk as juniors. So that didn't help us one bit. Kyle shouldn't have even started.
Well, who was the other option? Because I think he was also in my class.
Should have been Krieger, if we're being completely honest. He was better than Kemp and Brody. Like,
he was starting safety.
Okay, would you rather him start safety or start? He was better than Kyle and Brody. Nonetheless, Garyon didn't really turn into Garyon until Garyon didn't turn into Garyon until like his last couple games at Ohio State.
Yeah.
But Garyon as a junior was completely different than Garyon as a senior, which was different than, he kept growing and progressing and everything, but he wasn't,
as one does as they grow up.
Yes, but he was not some elite player as a junior, which usually, like, elite players, when they're juniors, they're still pretty freaking good. And Garyon was good, but not... He was not going to Ohio State.
Yeah, I know. You could press man, lock him down on an island at practice.
No, because he didn't play receiver.
Old Darrell Revis out there.
No, he didn't even play receiver.
I know.
Hank,
I know.
You got that whole thing backwards. Yeah, he couldn't beat me out as a receiver as a junior. And then the next year he catches like, over 1,000. He's like the number 3 all-time single season receiver for Massillon. But
that's when Coach B came in.
Yeah.
It was his offense to run, and that was at least some continuity that Jason had until he got the boot.
Yeah. That was good. That was good for you guys.
Yeah, that was really good. B was a dude.
It seemed like they actually gave him some control. I wasn't there for it, but I mean, I can only assume if it's. I mean, the system changed overnight, so they must have gave him some control. That's good.
I mean, it was. I think in the moment, I didn't really realize how much of an overhaul it was, but it was like top to bottom, stripped it down, like not even a bare bones. It was just like. It wasn't even down to the foundation. It was like run the house over with the bulldozer, fill in the basement, and let's start from nothing.
Yeah.
And I think the last part is Jason was head football coach / athletic director, and he didn't do his job that was after the slash. Man just did not fill the athletic director position that you would want him to.
That's the least of my worries.
No, but we're touching all the bases here. That was just the last thing that popped in my head. It's like if that's the one thing that you're bad at, then yeah, we can live with it. But when you're a perennial 7-3 playing down to your opponent and have like multiple teams that should be competing for a ring, and the best you get is one regional final win, then
Yeah.
So it's like
I guess I don't expect our head coach to really do too much athletic directoring.
I don't expect it either, but let me pile on. Like that's all I'm doing right now.
I mean, if you want to like make a point, is when he got fired, he argued it, and he was like, "Well, you're firing me as a coach, but you're not firing me as the athletic director." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. We are firing you as a coach, not as the athletic director. But that means you have to show up at 8 a.m. every day." And he's like, never mind.
That hour commute from Twinsburg was a little too much.
Yeah, I think because they moved him from the high school to Smith. So they're like, now you actually have to just show up in an office. I mean, obviously they have an office at the high school, but
that's the head coach's office.
Yeah, it's like now we're going to put you in the strictly just athletic director's office at Smith, which is also where like the soup and assistant soups would have been and everything.
That's like the higher ups. That's where you would expect like an athletic director position's office to be. I mean, they were, but it wasn't like just straight up condemning him to the closet.
No, but I think the whole point of it is like now you have to show up on time. And we're right here watching you.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, after a day or two, he's like, I can't show up on time.
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. Just, all right.
I'm out.
I'm fired. You're right.
You're right. I will take this L.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Westlake. I'm going to go 0-10.
Yep. You do it twice?
I think he might have won one the second year or something. I think he went 0-10 the first year. And then he like got fired, and he was just a gym teacher or something like that. Now he's like back to being their coach again, I think.
How down bad are they?
Yeah. Yeah, I know that 1-29 record doesn't look great 2 years ago, but how'd you like to do it again?
Yeah. The 1-29 retread is always an interesting approach.
Yeah, I would like to think that he's been, studying and taking classes and, changing his culture. Let's give him another shot.
Yeah. Just nice, upstanding gentleman. Just always a pleasure to work with. Hey, we can give it a shot. Eesh.
Yeah, it was a rough experience for everyone.
Yeah. But anyway, to his last point, coaches all seem to be bought in. You bullshit with like any of them, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna have to fire me to get my ass out of here.
Yep.
Love to hear it. Love to see it. The results just on the field speak for themselves. The results off the field, all these kids going to college, like you said, all of the test prep, all the ACT prep, everything that they do as a whole just speaks for itself. So, we got one more question?
Last one.
Let's hear it.
Are we walking away with a dub on Friday?
W's, boys.
Straight dubs?
Straight dubs.
W-dubs? I mean, that's obviously the goal.
Yeah.
Eds is a good team, but like Hank said, I like our chances, but you gotta play a clean game. You gotta play a good game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eds is going to play a good, clean game, so you have to go out there and play a good, clean game. So maybe if the fans get into it, student section's a little rowdy.
Why'd you have to?
Got the speakers turned up more than 20%.
Not spam the TIG chant?
Yeah.
For the love of God.
I heard one successful TIG chant last week, which is like the most I've heard all year. So, yeah. But I also heard like 20 failed TIG attempts. But that's just the way it's going to go. You know, you're going to have to pick and choose when to do them. There's always going to be the people that do them at the wrong times, unsuccessful chants, but the fans still need to be the fans. We can't be put down by anything, anyone. You know, if there's only 50 of us in the stands, you gotta be a rowdy 50 people, right? If half the people are yelling at you for standing up on third down,
tell their ass to get up.
You're gonna you gotta compensate for it. I mean, You have to still. The crowd has to be a part of the game, and I think the crowd. We've had decent attendance, but the crowd hasn't been a huge part of the game this year.
Man, I still look at that East St. Louis game. Barely 5,000 people there. Attendance, like what the official attendance said, because it felt like less than that. But that TIG ERS chant going back and forth across the stadium. I'm getting chills thinking about it now because that's the loudest I have ever heard that.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the best atmospheres I have ever experienced as a Massillon fan. And we need to get back to that, man. And part of that is sometimes shutting the fuck up and letting the people that actually, like, know what's going on lead the chance.
It's part of it.
But you just sent me off on that tangent. Anyway, back to the original.
It takes everyone.
It takes all of us.
Takes all of us. I need a loud, incorporated crowd, good student section. Need the band to be wild up. Need the speakers turned up. Got brand new speakers. We got to turn them up.
Mm-hmm. So back to the original question. Do we walk out with a W? I like the matchup. I think this is the signature win of the season this year. Whatever happens in playoffs, but I think we look back at this season, and this is the signature win of 2022. So, what do you got? W?
Dubs.
Dubs. Straight dubs, boys.
Straight dubs, boys.
With that, we'll get out of here. Go Tigers. Beat Eds.
Beat Eds.